Hi guys, and welcome to my long-awaited review for the PENON Quattro. This is the latest IM from PENON, and all DD IM, four of them. And basically this is to a certain extent a sequel to the famous PENON Serial, which was also an all DD IM. Before I carry on, I just want to quickly say that all the IMs I have here or DDIMs, 2, 3 or 4 units. There are a few that I could have included, but I didn't include on purpose. I just thought it wasn't really necessary, and namely the other versions of the TruthEars 0 I think didn't really make any sense, since the 0 Red is supposedly the best one. And also I didn't include here the QKZ CAN from HBB, as that's no longer available, and that also had a lot of clouds around it and so on. I personally thought it was a nice IM, but anyway, I thought those two really didn't make any sense. The rest of the IMs that I have here are what? On the top there, I've got the TRN NT4 Pro. Next to it, the Castor, the Harman version. On the second row here, I've got the TRI Starriver. I've got the TruthEars 0 Red. I've got the Tripowin Kailua from HBB. I've got here the 7Hz Legato. On this row here, I've got the AOSHIDA E20, the ARTTI R1, the Letshuoer DZ4, and then here in the front row, I've got the big boys, Unique Melodies 3DT Terminator, the PENON Serial, and the PENON Quattro. In terms of the sources that I used, obviously the Q15 had to be here, and then my trusted Frankensteins. One of them, I've got it basically running either the Awun UK or then the Cayenne RU7, and the other one I've got it running either the Colorfly M1P or then the TruthEars Shio, also using a Cyrus Logic chip. Anyway, basically this is the overview of what we've got here. So on to the PENON Quattro. The Quattro is, as I mentioned, their successor to a certain extent of the Serial. These are the accessories that it brings. Accessories are never an issue with PENON. Nice tips. I actually use these tips quite frequently, not only with PENON and ISN IMs, but with other IMs. They have also included the new ones, which you've got here, which kind of graphed very similar to these ones, to be honest, but sounded very, very nice. I have to say that I actually liked the way that they sounded, although graphically they looked the same. They somehow sounded slightly different. I can't really put my finger onto it. I guess maybe it has to do with the texture of the silicone used. And then this is the stock cable, modular, as you can see. Nice enough cable, I have to say, but I preferred the to use the PENON, the space. I just preferred it. The space is not perfect. It's got a little bit of a hard kind of way that it handles itself, and sometimes it's not exactly the best, but I just liked the synergy that the space had here with the Quattro, and that's why I used it. As for the Quattro itself, it's using 4 dynamic drivers. 2 of them are mounted on a compound system that, when you actually look carefully at the IM, you can, let me see if I can focus the baby here for us. Let me see, come on. Not easy to focus, but the shell does allow enough. There we go. If you looked carefully, I think momentarily there, you could have seen. There you go. See there? You momentarily see the 2 drivers mounted in a clamshell, so both facing each other, with the center volume, which is then exited to the front by the nozzle. It's got 2 10mm drivers, which are composite. I'm not sure if they are bio or not. I really couldn't find any information about them. Then it's got a single graphene driver, 8mm, being used for the mids. And then it's got a single 6mm, also custom, being used for the upper mids and treble. So 3-way setup. The price is about between $350 and $400. And basically the same formula that they used here is the formula that they used in the Serial. The only difference is in the Serial you only had a single 10, and then you had the 8 and the 6 as well. The 8 was a titanium driver as opposed to the graphene there. The 6 was a PU as opposed to a custom driver here, and then the 10mm base driver is biofilm diaphragm driver. In terms of the fit, it fits very nicely. I've got no issues with the fit. The shell size and design is very similar to the Serial. Obviously, the faceplates are different, and you know the video here doesn't really make it justice. It is a beautiful faceplate, very very smart. It's got the name Quattro on one of them, the PENON on the other. It looks really really smart, I have to say. And you know, although they chose the blue cable to accompany the IM, I personally think that a black cable like the ones that I've got here, Space or something similar, would have been a nicer. It would have maybe made a better match to the air of mystery. There's a certain air of mystery around the Quattro. Okay. So fit is fine, isolation is fine. I did find occasionally on the left hand side piece that if I introduced the IM too quickly, there was a little bit of driver flex. But if I took my time, if I didn't just ram it quickly, if I took my time, there was nothing there. But if I kind of put it into my ear canal very quickly, I would hear a little bit of driver flex. Which, to be honest, is actually the first time that's happened to me in any PENON or ISN IM. But it's just a small thing, and like I said, I've found a way of working around it by just putting it in slowly, not wanting to ram it inside my ear canal so quickly. Anyway, kind of going through again what I've selected here. You guys might be wondering, but why have you selected IMs which are like the Castor, the TRN MT4, $18 IM, or the Castor, which is $15, and you're comparing it to the... No, basically the idea here that I wanted to do was the main comparisons are going to be between the Serial and the unique magnet is the 3DT, and also as well to a certain extent here this row with the E20, the R1, and the DZ4. The rest are here in an attempt by me to kind of help position where this kind of sits. There are IMs here which are obviously very focused on the detail side of things, the case of the Starriver, or perhaps even to a certain extent the TruthEars, the Zero Red, while there are other IEMs here which are definitely more bass focused. So if you look at the TRN MT4 Pro, if you look at the Castor, if you look at the 7 Hertz, the Legato, those are definitely more bass focused IEMs. There are IEMs here which have a more, let's say, Harman-ish kind of tune. There are IEMs here which have a very old school kind of vibe, which is the case of the Serial, the Quattro, the R1 as well has that kind of old school vibe, 70s big speaker kind of thing going. You know, those big speakers that you used to get from Kenwood and Techniques and Pioneer and some Surin Vegas as well. That's that kind of sound that we have here, and all of this talk to say what, that there is really no IEM here that sounds bad, okay, or that is being badly tuned. All the IEMs here have, for the most part, obtained or been able to achieve the premise with which they were designed and for which the tuning was intended for. Obviously, there are ones here that do certain things better than the other. Like, for example, if I have to compare the MT4 with the KZ, the Castor, I mean, I love the Castor. The Castor is an absolute beast of an IEM, and the truth is, it is the best at that price range. The MT4, although it's really good and it's actually quite an improvement over the original MT4, it just stands no choice. Fair enough, it's got a 10mm DLC driver and a 6mm titanium driver, supposedly better quality drivers than the ones used in the Castor, which just uses basically normal PU drivers. But the fact that Castor has got in that particular case that Harman tune with the switches that you can still adjust and so, and costs even less money than the MT4, just makes it it's impossible not to see the Castor as the better IM. If I then look at the second row, yeah, I've got the Starriver, the Zero Red, the Kailua, and then the Legato. I'll start with the Kailua first. The Kailua, in terms of its sound, it's not bad. It actually sounds decent. Do I think it's superior to, for example, the Z300? No, it isn't. The Z300 eats it alive, in my opinion. The Z300 is a better IM. But the biggest one with the Kailua, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that encountered this, is fit. This has to take the prize for the worst fitting IM of the year that I've tried. Honestly, it has to take the prize. I just don't know what was going on here. I mean, seriously, the person that designed this must have some really, really weird ears, because it just doesn't fit right. Forget it. It just does not fit right. And if there are those of you that were lucky and got it to fit properly, hey, you know what? Fantastic, amazing. But I think that there were way more people that they had issues with fitting this in their ears properly than the ones that did get it to fit properly. And then the tuning, like I said, you know, once you do get it into sit properly, or you hold it in place, like I sometimes have to do if I actually wanted to listen to it, yes, it plays fine. But now, is it an IM that's worth $79? Hell no. Hell no. It doesn't. Let me put it to you this way: the Khan with all of its defects is a better IM. That's my opinion. Okay. As for the Starriver, I found the Starriver always to have a very pleasant sound. It's got the tuning switches as well, but you know, it's a very vocal centric IM. So maybe because of the fact that it doesn't have enough bass, a lot of people won't prefer it. But then again, when you compare it to the TruthEars Zero, it's also been tuned in a very, very relaxed, very kind of almost boring kind of manner. And I personally have to use it with the impedance adapter to give it just a little bit more bass, to make things a little bit more exciting. So if I have to choose between the two of them, you know, however many issues the Starriver might have by being a little bit overly detailed, I actually prefer this to that, to be honest. And then finally the Legato, amazing bass, amazing bass, amazing bass, really good bass, great lower mids, but then there's no upper mids and treble to keep up with it. And you know, to give the excuse, oh, it was tuned in this, okay, fine, it was tuned in that manner, but it was overly emphasized. That is probably the one IEM here that I think they, you know, well, not only that one, the Starriver to a certain extent, they were tuned too much with one part of the spectrum in mind, and they forgot about the other. In this case of the Starriver, obviously the bass, they made the bass way too thin. In that case, they just made it way too thick in the bass, and so the mids and upper mids just couldn't, especially the upper mids and the treble, just couldn't keep up. So, you know, yes, fantastic bass. I'm not denying that. However, having said that, there were IEMs, and I mentioned a few IEMs that have better bass capability than that. One of them, for example, is the KBE, the Rosefinch. The KBE Rosefinch, in terms of bass performance, absolutely unreal. Okay, absolutely unreal. Then coming down here to this level here, we have the DZ4, which has got three dynamic drivers and a fourth driver, which is that R-Sonic pressure passive filtering module, which is a pressure relief valve in essence, which you also find in the S15. Very nice kind of Harman style of tune, but ultimately it just needed a little bit more bass, and that 6mm that's endowed with that job, I just think it just doesn't have enough grunt to keep up. Very well tuned, it sounds very good, very detailed, kind of a similar style of tuning as to the TruthEars Zero Red, but somehow they actually managed to make it. It doesn't have the bass of the TruthEars Red. The Red does have more bass, but it sounds more interesting. I don't know. The Red, it sounds good, okay, it's fine, but it just sounds sometimes overly. It just sounds like it needed a little bit more salt to make things a little bit more interesting. Okay. As for the R1 and the AOSHIDA, the E20, two very good IEMs. Two IEMs that actually complement each other very nicely. This has got the sound which I actually mentioned when I reviewed it, which is very much reminiscent of the Serial. So it's kind of a baby Serial. And the E20, it's got this very strong tuck at around by about 120 hertz. It's flat already, and so although it's got a very nicely done mids, upper mids and treble, and the sub bass is very good. It just lacks a little bit of mid bass impact to make things interesting. So it kind of falls a little bit into this category of these two, where it doesn't. It's got more sub bass obviously than the Starriver, so it isn't as thin as the Starriver in that aspect. But it falls along these lines of tuning here. Compared to the Red, it actually has a similar curve in terms of the mids, upper mids, and treble to the Red, but more energetic. So this makes it more interesting. I prefer this without question over the Red or the Starriver. No questions there. And then finally to the front row. Okay, unique melodies, the 3DT. 10mm CNT driver handling the mids and the highs, and then two 7mm drivers mounted, not in a clamshell but next to each other, and then exiting firing into a kind of a chamber that then exits. This surprisingly, the DZ4 and the unique melodies, they actually have a similar style of tune, and the saving grace here for the unique melodies really is just that, okay, just a little bit better mids and treble than the DZ4. That's the only saving grace, because the rest, there isn't much here that you could say, oh, okay, it is a big step up over the DZ4. That's my opinion. Honestly, that's my opinion. But it is $400. I guess at the time it was justified to a certain extent, because there wasn't any wide variety of multiple DD drivers, IEMs available, so I guess it made sense. Compared to these two, it stands absolutely no chance. I mean, the Serial, like I said, it's roughly $300, so straight away it's cheaper. But the Serial has always been one of my favorite IEMs, and it's one of those IEMs that, call it bias, call it the same way I love the Oxygen. And yes, fair enough, I can admit there are IEMs that have been able to surpass the Oxygen's performance, namely the SimGod, the EA1000, the format does surpass it. But there's still something that is just magical about the Oxygen, and that's the same thing that happens here with the Serial. The Serial, there's just something magical about the Serial, and although I can see where it loses to the Quattro, and where it also has maybe slight advantages to the Quattro, I just can't say no. It's now been substituted by the Quattro, and as well, to be honest, I don't think that was the intention from PENON. I think that what PENON wanted to offer was an alternative option. Like I said, the Serial has this old school kind of sound, this old school vibe. Amazing. I mean, fantastic bass, fantastic mids. It's got very much the typical PENON ISN house sound. Perfect. Fair enough. It could do with maybe a little bit more detailed retrieve, a little bit more technical capabilities. But the pleasure that this IM offers in terms of its musicality, of its organicness, of its just plain good old-fashioned musical enjoyment is such that I can forgive if I don't listen to the ultimate last twinkly and sparkly and so on and so forth. Okay, and that's basically what you get in the Quattro. What you get in the Quattro is an IM which has this huge bass. That's the first thing that hits you. Like, for example, if you hear a song like Deeper from Pete Belasco, you hear it, and roughly at, well, right from the beginning, but from like second 20 onwards, it's got this nice bass line going there. And okay, some of you might say, oh no, it's too much, it's over. You know what? Fine, I respect that, but it's amazingly well done. It's got this bass drone, this energy, it's got this like very authoritative bass presence, and it means business. Okay, this is like a cane corso. If some of you know a little bit about dogs, this is like a cane corso. Okay, you look at it, and you look at a cane corso, and it means business. You know that if you don't behave, this thing's gonna eat you alive. And that's the kind of sensation I get here from the Quattro. The Quattro's got this bass which is absolutely, just blows you out of the mud. It's probably one of the best basses I have ever heard. Now, is it the most well executed bass maybe for some of you guys. Maybe not. Maybe it's just overly emphasized and you might not like it because it it doesn't showcase the mids and the upper frequencies like you would like. Fair enough. But that's not the intention here. The intention here is to give you a sound which is like on the Serial, which is a good, old-fashioned, fun, organic sound that it's got very well executed bass, very well executed mids, very well executed highs. Okay, and everything just comes together in a synergy, which is, you have to hear it to truly enjoy it. That's as simple as that. I will say, I'm not going to say I'm not a believer of IM burn-in and so on. I'm not going to say I'm not a believer. I'm going to say that I have seen some cases where after a couple of hours, yes, the IEM seems to start performing better. And you can always trace that down as well to a certain extent to, oh, brain burn, you just got used to it. Yes, that is true, but I used to do a lot of car audio when I was younger, and I did some professional audio as well. And there was a brand in particular that I did find that after a couple of hours of those particular subwoofers and woofers playing, they really did sound better. And that brand was Electro Voice and Sorin Vega. Well, those brands, but especially Electro Voice. And like the EV15 from Electro Voice, you hook it up the first time, and yes, it's an impressive sounding woofer, especially if you use it in the ported enclosures that they recommend, which is kind of a horn-loaded ported enclosure. It's absolutely unreal. But you hook it up, okay, and you let it play for a good 50, 60 hours, and then you start seeing something magical happening. And that magic that happens is that the whole surround of that driver loosens up slightly, and it just becomes like, if in the beginning you felt that it was powerful, but you felt that power was a little bit uneasy. It was there, it was prominent, but it wasn't easy. After a few hours and that surround loosening up a little bit, it was just like effortless. And that's exactly as well what happened here to the Quattro. The Quattro initially, yes, very, very powerful, very impressive bass performance. And now after, I think my Quattro now will probably have around 60, 65 hours of playtime. It just sounds better. Yes, it sounds better. And it's not a question of, oh no, Tony, it's just your brain. No, it sounds better. Trust me. I listen to a lot of IEMs, and I can very confidently say that this, for example, in this particular song, yeah, Deeper, the way that it now is giving that bass line is not the same way that it was in the beginning. Another song that it also plays really well, it's On from George Duke. I mean, you got to listen to it. It's simple. It's no point in me now. Oh, no, that initial drum hit, very nice. And that's the thing here that impresses, is the balance that they've been able to strike between having really good mid bass and then having really good presence in the sub bass. So those two parts, or you can distinguish them, at least I can distinguish them quite well from one from the other, and they're very well executed. Yes, as I've mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of bleed into the mids, yes, but somehow, and I think it's a magic that somehow PENON and ISN have been able to master. They do it so well that it just sounds engaging. You listen to, for example, the ISN, the H50, that it's got the same sort of thing. You listen to the ISN, the H40 as well, the same situation. Loads of bass, especially the H40. It's got huge bass. And it just sounds so good. It just sounds so good. And, if that was the same thing that happened really with the Serial, this just takes it up 3 or 4 steps, flawless. I mean, in terms of mids, very comparable. Bass, yes, there's a bit more bass here, obviously, 2 10mm drivers. The quality, the ultimate quality, very equal. In terms of the highs, this has got better highs. More polished, definitely. There are occasions where the highs don't seem to be as maybe present as on the Serial, because there's more bass energy, and that kind of not camouflages but smothers a little bit that extra detail that this has as well. But like Orazio Bossa from Andrea Razzuti, phenomenal song. It does it really, really well. Tequila Moon from Jesse J, amazing, amazing, amazing. Tell Me from Tin Liquor, this is a more of a, like an electronic type music. The bass, the bass line going there, the way that it's fantastic. Honestly, fantastic, fantastic. Actually, of all the IEMs that I have here, the Serial, the R1, the Legato to a certain extent, and the MT4 are probably the IEMs that do that particular song that I've mentioned now. Tell Me the best. You know, all of them at various degrees of how good it is, but they are the ones that do that song really. I mean, they do that song really well. Let me see another song here that I really enjoyed listening to. Right on Time from George Duke as well. Very nice. It's got a lot of more. It's a more detailed song, but does it very nice. Honestly, if there is any flaw that I can maybe point out here, and again, this is not a flaw. If you are a detail freak, if you are a person that, for example, likes that neutrality and that correctness of the zero, likes that neutrality and that correctness of the DZ4, then this is not the IEM for you. Okay, forget it. This is an IEM that has a lot of fun, a lot of power behind it. If you are a person that likes all the last twinkly and sparkly and everything, which you get from the Starriver, a lot of detail as well on the E20. If that's your vibe, then this is not the IEM for you. This is an IEM if you like listening to a good old-fashioned type of sound. That's what this is. Okay. From Dusk to Dawn from George Duke, fantastic. Female vocals, You from Cecile Norby, or Elephant from Carol Duboc. It plays better, in my opinion, something which is a little bit more dynamic. Not that You from Cecile Norby didn't do it well, but because of the fact that it's maybe not having enough detail up top, it just makes the presentation a little bit darker. It's not incorrect in my opinion. It's not that I disliked it, no, but it makes it in that for that particular song, for example, the Serial does it better. Okay. However, on Elephant from Carol Duboc, I preferred it slightly more on the Quattro than on the Serial. Okay. Sweat from the JK Revive mix from Danny Kane and Princess Treasure. I mean, fantastic as well. Fantastic. House of Groove from Eugene Groove, again, another song that it does very well. Riviera from Bob Zop, very well. So, honestly, if your thing is music and you want to listen to music in a nice, engaging, fun manner, definitely. As always, I didn't really listen to a lot of rock. Maybe 2 or 3 songs, to be honest with you. So I'm not going to be able to give you a full or more, let's say, positive feedback on will it do rock well. I personally think that it will probably do rock well, as long as it is not a song which is gonna be demanding a lot in terms of you want to hear all the details of the guitar and all the details of the drums and of the various instruments that might be going there and the cymbals. If it's not overly complicated in that, then I guess it will do it well. Because like I said, the bass here is a very prominent thing. It is very much there, present. You can feel it. It's let me put it to you this way. It's a legato in terms of all that energy that it's got there in terms of the bass, but it's done better than the legato. It's cleaner. It's a cleaner quality bass than the legato, but then it's got mids and highs to keep up, while on the legato you don't. So think of it that way. If you have the legato in your as the IEMs of choice, you already have an idea of what the Quattro kind of will give you in terms of sound. Let me see what else. Yeah, that's basically it. So technically, like I said, this it's not where this shines. It's got decent soundstage, decent enough imaging. I think the toner, the timbre and the tonality, or at least for me, it's biggest thing. The timbre and the tonality across the bass and the mids. It's very well executed. The resolution is pretty decent considering you have a lot of bass like you do, and as well the detail retrieval is also pretty decent. but the technicalities are not where I would say that the Quattro shines. And in that aspect, I would say that they are kind of trading blows with the technicalities of the Serial. So, you know, the Serial wasn't already where it was also its best. The Quattro, I think, also kind of falls into that same group. Again, let me reiterate. These are IEMs that are supposed to be fun and engaging. That's what they are. Fun, engaging, musical, organic, old school. That's it. It's not, if your thing that, if what rocks your boat is the ultimate correctness in balance of sound, then this is not for you. Just comparing it here briefly with the Unique Melody 3DT, it's not even a comparison. Fine, I will give the 3DT this much. If I want something which is maybe a little bit more technically capable, a little bit cleaner, then fine, the 3DT will do the trick. However, let me just mention that I have, where is it? I have two 3DTs, okay, from different periods. They have different filter on the nozzle. This one is a little bit more shouty in that 5-6K area. This one has toned it down and it's much nicer. So this one is very, very similar. This one is like a bigger brother to the DZ4, although it's questionable whether or not it justifies its price. Okay, let's put it that way. So please keep in mind that I'm comparing it with this particular version of the 3DT. I don't know if you guys maybe have this version of the 3DT, which has the black filter on the nozzle as well as the instead of the silver filter. But there's definitely a change in the tuning there. All right, so that's basically it, guys. I mean, I think it's an absolutely beast of an IM, very well tuned. The overall, you know, package of accessories and everything's more than fine. The price, look, it's always a very delicate thing, you know. I'm not gonna say yes, go out and buy it. Try and see if you can listen to it. Maybe get it from a friend who has it. Try and listen to it. Don't just take my word for it. You know, maybe see some other people that will undoubtedly review it. Personally, me and you guys know that I'm a very big fan of ISN and PENON. There's not one single IM that I can say up to now, out of all the IMs that I've listened to them, that I didn't understand what was the design premise. I didn't understand what they were trying to do. They all sound very, very, very good. And this is no exception. Okay. That's it, guys. I'll show you now quickly the graphs and we'll wrap it up. All right, you take care now. Hi guys, and welcome now to the graph section here for the PENON Quattro. This first graph that I'm showing you is obviously of the PENON Quattro. Let me just take away this. Yeah, okay. This is like, there we go. That's much better. As you can see, huge bass. By looking at the graph on its own, you would say, okay, this is going to be not exactly a very pleasant IEM to listen to, overly energetic in the bass, but it's like I said in the review earlier, it's the quality of that bass which basically saves the day. Fair enough, there is a big emphasis on the bass. We're talking about a gain onto the bass of 12 dBs roughly, and there's no denying this is the focus, but it's a very well done bass, like I mentioned. And then the rest of the spectrum is well executed. I mean, the pinna gain is nice and progressive, peaks at close to, you know, roughly 4K, and then there's a dip here in this 5K area, which sometimes is an issue. So there's no sibilance, no nothing, and then there's plenty of extension past 10K, plenty. So the Quattro does sound very pleasant, very pleasant compared to the Serial, which is the one I just placed now. Definitely less quantity of bass in the Serial, but the overall signature, if you look at it, very similar. The same kind of slow progressive pinna gain, and then a dip around that problematic area, a rise and then a fall. Not as much extension as the Quattro, not as much bass energy, but the bass quality is basically the same. Okay. The next one I'm going to show you now is the Unique Melody, the 3DT. Let me just change here the color so you can see it a little bit better. So that's the Unique Melody now, and let me take away the Serial. I've normalized everything at 1K, and in its mids, upper mids and treble, yeah, okay, fine, it's okay, it's not bad. The other 3DT that I have has got a peak here, and then basically does everything very similar. The bass, it's a correct bass. It's very nice, but it's a little bit. It just needed a little bit more energy. Fine, in terms of its resolution and quality overall. If what you like is that cleanliness, that's very well executed. But this is very similar to, for example, like I was mentioning earlier in the review, to the sound that you get from the DZ4, okay, from Letshuoer. Let me just put the DZ4 up here and take away the Quattro. The DZ4 and the 3DT, very similar, but somehow the thing that is interesting is, although yes, there's better quality of mids and upper mids and treble there, the balance of the two is more favorable in the Letshuoer. However lean it is in the bass, it's still nicer in the Letshuoer. Not by much, but it's still nicer. And so you kind of question yourself, is it really worthwhile, you know, this big price difference? Questionable. But anyway, back to the Quattro. And then just a quick read through the other IEMs here that I mentioned. So the AOSHIDA, as you can see here by the graph, I mean, the bass is very good. It just lacks a little bit of mid-bass slab, and the mids are fantastic. The mids and upper mids of the AOSHIDA are really something else. Mids, upper mids, and treble, really, really good. The R1, which I mentioned as well, it's got kind of the same vibe as well. I even put here the Serial. Okay, let me just take away the Quattro. You see the R1 and the Serial, how close they are? They're very, very similar. Yes, of course, it's a 10mm driver on the Serial versus an 8 on the R1, so you do notice there's more bass energy, but the bass quality and a certain level of volume, I stand confidently by what I said. The R1 is a baby Serial, so if you cannot afford the Serial but you want that kind of vibe of a sound, perfect. And the Quattro, putting the Quattro now into the equation, again, it falls within that same style of tuning of the R1. So it's actually, it's a, trust me, the R1 is a very, very nice sounding IEM. Maybe it won't satisfy those that want the ultimate detail retrieval up top and so on, but it's a very nice sounding IEM, and one that was very well tuned in my opinion. The DZ4 I've shown you. The MT4, the TRN MT4, I mean, it's not as lean sounding as it looks here on the bass. It isn't, but you know, it is what it is. The Castor, the Harman, very similar actually, just a better execution, and the bass sounds more live than on the MT4, to be honest. Number 11, number 11 is the Starriver. Which again, this area here, the balance track with the bass is the biggest issue. It's not that the bass is not well executed. The bass is very well executed. It's just that this is overly energetic. Okay, that's the real only problem that the Starriver has, to be totally honest. But comparing the Starriver, for example, with the TruthEars, this is the TruthEars 0. I still, although the TruthEars 0 obviously has got more bass, I still kind of will prefer the Starriver, because there's a little bit more of aliveness there. I mean, I'm not saying that the 0 isn't good. The 0 is fine, and actually, if you're looking, if you're paying attention to the graphs, you will see that it's got a graph which is very similar to the AOSHIDA. Okay, and the AOSHIDA costs the same money. AOSHIDA red, AOSHIDA every day of the week. Every day of the week, I would take the AOSHIDA over the TruthEars 0 red. Every day. Why? Because it's got enough energy here to make things just a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more alive, a little bit less dead. And I'm already showing you here with the one that's got the bass boost with the impedance adapter. Because if I show you the TruthEars with no bass, okay, fine, it's nice, it sounds very correct, but it's just a little bit boring. You know, you want something that's got a little bit more engagement, and in that aspect, the previous model, and that's why I actually said that I would, to a certain extent, even prefer the 0 blue and not the 0 red. The 0 blue has got a little bit more of engagement going for it. And then finally, the Legato. Let me take this out. Take this out and put here, actually let me change the color of the Legato to something that can stand out and make it red. Okay, that's the Legato in red. There you go. And this is the Quattro. And by looking at the graphs like this, you would say, oh, okay, they basically going to sound the same. No, they don't. Why? Because one has got a 12mm driver, which is the Legato. The other one's got dual 10s, fine. But the 12mm driver, and then what it is getting from the 6mm that's trying to keep up with it, is not as well balanced as the 8 and the 6 that we get in the Quattro. Okay, and yeah, that's it, guys. I mean, I hope I was able to show you guys everything decently, and so that you guys have a good general idea of what the Quattro is about. For me, it's another winner. I wasn't expecting anything else from PENON and from ISM, to be totally honest. And yes, fair enough, it's going to be an IM that will have its people that will perhaps not truly appreciate what it's capable of. But I think that even those individuals, like I mentioned when I did my first impressions, even those individuals that maybe might not be bass fans will appreciate the bass has been truly well done, and that's what makes the Quattro have this mojo, this magic about it, because the graph, and that's where it's, I've said it countless times, and a few other reviewers say the same thing. Graphs are an indicator, but they don't really tell you the nature of things. And there are graphs which don't look interesting, and the IM sounds amazing. There are other IMs that have amazing graphs and they don't sound as interesting. And this is one of those cases. Well, actually, a lot of the ISM and PENON's IMs are very much like that. The graphs don't really convey the true magic that those IMs have. And finally, just one thing, because I know some of you will be thinking, oh my God, but Tony's shilling so much PENON and ISM. I just want to make something perfectly clear. I am making and I'm getting no kickbacks from saying what I'm saying. Absolutely nothing, zero. I am saying this because I just genuinely like PENON and I genuinely like ISM products. End of story. I pay for my IEMs. I don't get no kickbacks, no nothing. It's as simple as I like it. I talk about it in a favorable way, in an enthusiastic way, which is what I've done. All right. Anyway, guys, as always, like and subscribe. If there's any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.